New details tonight about a murder in a busy shopping center in Frederick, Maryland. Last night, a woman was shot and killed while working at the giant grocery store in Urbana.
Abusive partners do lose their guns. They shouldn't have access to any firearms, that they should have to surrender firearms. They can have protections, like one of the parties needs to leave the house. We can protect workplaces, places where children are going to school or childcare. There's even financial relief that can be available. But ultimately, it's up to the judge.
Giant Food released a statement about the incident, and it says in part, "Our thoughts and prayers are with our associate and their family at this very difficult time." The company also says they are cooperating fully with law enforcement as they conduct their investigation.
33-year-old Tenisha Butler, affectionately known as Nisha to family and friends, was a loving and kind woman with an infectious spirit and personality to match. Although a beloved employee at a local giant, Tenisha was also an entrepreneur, owning her own event planning business called Chanel Elegant Affairs, where she offered decor and party rental services with a consistent 5-star rating. Most importantly, she was a mother of 2. Her children meant the world to her, and she meant the world to them. Tenisha headed to her evening shift at Giant, as she normally did. Never could she have imagined that she would never see or speak to her children again. Just after 11 p.m. on January 6th, Frederick County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to a Giant food store in Frederick County on Sugarloaf Parkway in the Urbana Shopping Center for reports of a shooting. Upon arrival, they would locate the body of an unresponsive adult female.
It was just after 11 p.m. Saturday, closing time at this giant grocery store on Sugarloaf Parkway in Frederick, when police responded for the report of a shooting.
Upon arrival, deputies found one adult female victim deceased on scene, and there were witnesses there. No witnesses let us know that the suspect had fled in a vehicle.
The victim was identified as 33-year-old Tenisha Butler, who was sadly pronounced dead at the scene after succumbing to multiple gunshot wounds. Witnesses would quickly identify the suspect as Tenisha's estranged husband, 33-year-old Frederick Owusu Saki. The two were in the process of getting a divorce. Saki had been stalking Tenisha, prompting her to take out a protective order against him, barring him from possessing firearms and giving up any firearms that were currently in his possession. Tenisha had been seeking a limited divorce since June 2023, living separately since November 2022. Late that evening, Saki showed up to Tenisha's job at the giant grocery store and murdered her in the parking lot moments after she closed up the store and was walking out with co-workers. Through the use of technology, police were able to quickly locate Saki and take him into custody without incident. During the time of his arrest, he was found with both a handgun in the front seat of his vehicle and an assault rifle in the back seat, violating the terms of his protective order. A disturbing booking photo shows him grinning from ear to ear. Customers said they were both saddened and shocked when they heard about the tragedy. Following the attack, some questioned whose responsibility it was to enforce a protective order.
The victim has been identified as 33-year-old Tenisha Butler, an employee of the store, and her assailant would be identified as 33-year-old Frederick Owusu Saki of Walkersville, Maryland. Now, Sheriff's Office tells us, besides security video from the shopping center that may have captured the incident, they were approached by some neighbors from nearby houses.
We actually had neighbors from the surrounding area of that shopping center come over to us and say, "I have Ring cameras."
Based on witness information, police began tracking his vehicle.
And we were able to track that individual down within 3 hours. We found them in Columbia, Maryland, and we worked with the Howard County Police Department to pick him up.
Upon his arrest, police found 2 weapons in his car, a handgun and a rifle. Police have not determined which, if either of those weapons, was used to shoot Butler. Butler and Saki were in the midst of a divorce. She had taken out several protective orders against him. According to the Sheriff's Office, there was a history of Saki stalking Butler, and an active protective order was in place at the time of the shooting. Saki is facing a charge of first-degree murder and weapons charges, including possession of a weapon while under a civil protective order.
Our customers at the store told Fox 5 they are both saddened and shocked that a tragedy like this happened in their neighborhood.
I couldn't believe it either. It's a very calm, quiet, family-oriented community, so it was shocking.
My sense of security and the realization that it's everywhere now. And it's, it's scary.
It's not heard of, You know, I was surprised to hear about it. I really was.
Tonight, there are new questions about how a man from Frederick County, accused of killing his estranged wife, obtained not one, but 2 guns.
Frederick Stalked, seen here, smiling in his mugshot hours after his wife was killed, had an active protective order barring him from making any contact with her or having weapons. Fox 5's Derek Waller joining us live in Urbana where that shooting happened. And Derek, tonight I know you spoke with a domestic violence expert pushing for Maryland laws to change.
And Angie, Jim, that's right. An advocate for domestic violence victims tells me that there's actually a loophole in Maryland law that allows potentially dangerous people to obtain weapons. Now, in this case, the suspect here is actually accused of murdering his estranged wife in this parking lot behind me, right outside this Giant where she worked on Saturday night. And get this, it happened the day after she filed for divorce.
They have to have those guns taken away.
But Jen Pollitt-Hill with the Maryland Network Against Domestic Violence tells me after a court orders the guns handed over, there's no mechanism to make sure it stays that way.
That's a gap. You know, if we were enforcing the laws that we currently have on the books, a gun in this situation would have been taken away. What it can't control for is if the guns are not reported, if the guns are stolen, not registered.
On Saturday night, authorities say 33-year-old Frederick Stalked, seen here grinning in his mugshot, ambushed his estranged wife, 33-year-old Tenisha Butler, outside her job at this Giant grocery store on Sugarloaf Parkway. Deputies tracked him down and say they later found a handgun and a shotgun in his car. Court records show Butler filed for a final divorce the day before she was murdered. Records also show Butler had an active protective order barring her husband from contacting her or possessing firearms.
Whose responsibility is it to enforce the protective order?
Well, as soon as the protective order is issued from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office, we do our due diligence to make sure we do everything within the law to make sure that person doesn't have any weapons. But once that protective order has been issued, we do not continue to follow up on them.
And take a look at the number of domestic violence victims killed in Maryland every year. In 2019, the state recorded 29 deaths, but every year since the pandemic, it's remained above 56, at a time when Hill says fewer victims are choosing to seek protective orders.
If you go and you ask the courts to take away the guns and guns aren't taken away, that tells the next victim, don't bother going to the courts.
33-year-old Frederick Owusu-Saki was taken to the Frederick County Adult Detention Center for booking. He is scheduled for a bond review on January 16th, pending his ability to obtain a lawyer. Tenisha's family was seen leaving the courtroom but did not want to speak. The case remains ongoing.